So let's talk about two of the shadiest things that exist in our society, and those are student loans and college. I'm the librarian, and I came to read. Yes, if you all remember, if you've been paying attention to my timeline, you will know that I am currently in California, so this video is definitely pre-recorded. I'm in California State University at Bakersfield. I'm going to be speaking on sexual assault awareness, especially as it relates to the LGBT community. So thanks to the Black Student Union out there at California State University, Bakersfield. I know that it's going to be amazing. I wanted to just pre-record this video just in case I don't get a chance to do anything while I'm traveling. Before I get into it, I want to say thank you so much. This was a birthday, this was a cute little birthday gift, and the shirt, it has like the definition on the back too. So that's cute. But so yeah, let's hop right into it. On the day that I'm recording this, Elizabeth Warren kind of stole the show. I'm not sure if it was today that it was released or yesterday, but she came out with a very, very bold ass title, and she released this article on Medium, and it spread like wildfire from there. Now, the title of it is, "I'm calling for something truly transformational, universal, free public college and cancellation of student loan debt." Now, the reason why I'm singling this out is not because she's the only person to ever have come up with an idea like this. And if we're being realistic, if you're looking, you can look over at Andrew Yang's, his platform and stuff, and what he, and his policies, his proposals and stuff like that. And you can see that, if I'm being honest, his is the most robust, his is the most like detailed, if you go to his website. I only say that to say that, Elizabeth Warren is not the only person to come out with a plan to tackle this ridiculous amount of student loan debt and, and college and fucking price inflation. So when I sat down, I was like, okay, girl, what is she talking about? And I think that something like this, something as bold and as revolutionary as this is needed if we're going to talk about upward mobility in any, especially Black communities, minority communities, period, who don't have access to a lot of resources. If we're talking about upward mobility, or we're talking about just paying the bills on time, being released from that ridiculous amount of debt can help out so many people. So this is what her plan says. I'm sure that some of you guys already know this. So she proposes canceling debt for more than 95% of the nearly 45 million Americans with student loan debt. I'm reading this from Medium. She wants to wipe out student loan debt entirely for more than 75% of Americans with that debt. She wants to substantially increase wealth for Black and Latinx families and reduce both the Black, white, and Latinx white wealth gaps, and provide an enormous middle-class stimulus that will boost economic growth, increase home purchases, and fuel new wave of small business formation. So she has all this, and it was really encouraging to see, like, our politicians aren't perfect at all, but it's really encouraging to see the section where she says substantially increase wealth for Black and Latinx families. And this is why we do all the hooping and hollering, because we want these sociological issues to be taken seriously when these politicians are creating policy like this. She also talks about free college education and all this stuff, and I feel like I'm in the middle of her stance and Andrew Yang's stance. Andrew Yang, he does not want free college, but he's saying the only reason he does not want that is because he wants to control, of course, the inflation of the cost of college. It doesn't make any sense why it's 2 and 3 times what it used to be, and we're not getting benefits out of. We're not getting 2 and 3 times the benefits out of that shit. So Andrew Yang's position on this is that we have oversold the idea of college. We have oversold, oh, go to college, you get a good job. I know I've heard that so many times. We've heard that over and over, not realizing that there's so many other avenues of work that you can go into that would be fulfilling and that would be also lucrative, and you don't need a college degree for that. So he's saying we should invest in vocational school. So I'm in the middle. I think that everyone who wants to have a college education should be able to do that without this burden of debt. But I also think that we have oversold this idea of go to college, and when people may be needing to do, like I said, vocational work. They want to do hands-on stuff. They want to work in fields that don't necessarily require you to go to these 4-year institutions. You see, now the specifics of this proposed plan that Elizabeth Warren is talking about is it cancels out $50,000 in student loan debt for every person with household income under $100,000. So that, I think, is more than reasonable, and that would definitely help my ass out. You have no idea. It provides substantial debt cancellation for every person with household income between $100,000 and $250,000. It offers no debt cancellation for people with household income above $250,000. And that is the top 5% of income earners. So, and she also goes on to say, my plan would provide at least some debt cancellation for 95% of people with student loan debt, and complete and total student debt cancellation for more than 75%. And it would also provide targeted cancellation for most of the families that need it most, and substantially increase Black and Latinx wealth and help close the racial wealth gap. So all of that sounds really cool and really amazing, but of course everyone is interested in, oh girl, how are we going to pay for it? And she said simply, some people will say that we can't afford this plan. That's nonsense. The entire cost of my broad debt cancellation plan and universal free college is more than covered by my ultra millionaire tax, a 2% annual tax on the 75,000 families with $50 million or more in wealth. And she said, for decades, we've allowed the wealthy to pay less while burying tens of millions of working Americans in education debt. So I thought that was really cool. Just even the fact that Black and Latinx communities were considered in the creation of this policy is a step forward. Like I said, none of these politicians is fucking perfect, but at least it's a step in the right direction. I also found that some of the arguments against this plan, it was extremely selfish arguments. I saw, and it was a popular one, that, okay, well girl, will I be reimbursed because I personally paid off my student loans, and I don't see why everybody else should get this free pass when I had to work 2 and 3 and 4 jobs to pay off my student loan debt, and now none y'all ain't gonna have to do that shit. What about me? And so what about me, that selfish spirit, that, oh well girl, if I have to suffer, you have to suffer too, that shit will be the destruction of our whole society. Period. Because just because I saw somebody on Twitter say, okay, well, oh, what about y'all created working parachutes? Oh my God, what are you gonna do about the motherfuckers who hopped out the plane and their parachutes didn't work? What y'all gonna do about that? It's like, okay, like, do you want us to go back in time? Like, I don't understand. What is so harmful? Just because you had to go through a grueling situation, you want everybody else to do the same shit too? We're never going to get anywhere if people are constantly like, oh well, y'all need to suffer, y'all need to be in as much pain as I had to. Like girl, the whole point of your ass coming through a painful situation is to try and see how you can make that situation not happen frequently anymore. Like, the selfishness will really be our undoing. So I don't see what is wrong with a bold ass proposal. I don't see anything wrong with that, especially when we're living in these bold ass times with this bold ass debt. She goes on to even discuss, in her article, she discusses how Black students borrow more, and at the end of 12 years, a lot of times it's Black students who owe more in their loans than they did before. So, and then she also talks about setting aside $50 billion for HBCUs, and also noting that the Secretary of Education will have the authority to increase the amount of money in the fund as needed to ensure that spending per student at those schools is comparable to other colleges in the area. So, like, considerations like that, like, you really have to be invested somewhat to create policy that sounds like this. The other challenge will be, like, they sound great, they sound amazing. The other challenge will be getting all this shit passed. Now, if we have a Democratic, by some act of damn providence or something, we get a Democratic president, that would mean that we have control over 2 sectors of the government. We would have executive control, and we would have control of the House of Representatives. I think that would make things a lot easier, like things like this, a lot easier to get passed through government and actually be enacted in law. I think that there was a lot of work to do. Like I said, this looks really great, it looks amazing. Of course, there's gonna be some logistical challenges, but if no one steps forward, if no one says, hey girl, like, we need to do this shit, just like they did with they're trying to do with what is it, the Green New Deal. Like, yes, these are very revolutionary, they're transformative, like Ms. Warren said, they're bold, but like something needs to be done, girl. We're gonna choke ourselves out with this non-renewable ass way that we're going about consuming our resources, and the student loan debt and a lot of other debt is gonna choke us out too. So like, we need to get something done. But like I said, I think the bottom line is two things. The fact that American society has sold college education as the only way to go to have a decent life when they're like, what, like 44% of college graduates are underemployed. So it's just like, obviously the promise is not working. And if we're going to be talking about college, we need to fix what we already have, and also we need to invest in other forms of education, other industries that don't necessarily rely on things like, you know, university degrees. And that's why, you know, Andrew Yang also said something that was really interesting. He was just like, we need to start, because he loves to talk about automation and how while all these people are scared of immigrants taking our jobs, it's really automation that's coming in. And he said there's, after the manufacturing wave came in, like there's another wave coming as well. They said they're coming for retail, they coming for all that shit, fast food, they're coming for all that shit. He said we as a society need to move toward trying to find a way to define ourselves, our human selves, outside of what we do or outside of work. You know, the fact that you're only worth as much as you work or as much as your job says you're worth. So he said more machines are going to be doing all this work. Like, we need to find another way, and another way to run our society and all that shit. So a lot of these people are still super capitalist, and of course it makes sense, because you're not going to, you know, run a whole society on capitalism for fucking hundreds of years, and then in 4 years it's gonna be done away with. Of course not. But I think that moving towards a more humane way of running the economy and humane way of handling fucking debt, you know what I mean? Humane way of handling the cost of college education can make it so much easier, can make our lives easier. They said the life expectancy in this country has been going down consistently. Andrew Yang actually said the last time that shit happened was the Spanish flu. He said that it's practically unheard of for developed countries to have their quality of life and life expectancy go down in such a manner, especially 3 years in a row. So obviously we have to change things, and we are so stuck in this work until you die, work every single day of your life. You shouldn't have no breaks, and if you do, you lazy as hell. We're stuck in it, and there have been so many people who have been saying this is going to destroy us. It's good. Like, so I don't know. I would like to see what you guys think of this. And like I said, the only reason why I'm singling out Elizabeth Warren and stuff is just because of how quickly her plan snatched up the headlines and snatched up the conversation and started people talking about this. So I decided to put my 2 cents in, especially as a college graduate with a whole bunch of goddamn debt. Like, I'm talking about tens of thousands. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to expect that I'm going to be able to pay that shit back, girl. I'm just not gonna do it. How's it gonna happen? You know, especially when there's such high competition to get into college, there's such high competition when you come out of that bitch, it's too much. And then this whole concept of universal basic income is also being brought up. So I think that this election cycle will be so interesting, to say the least, because these ideas are not new, but I think that they're just now starting to gain some type of mainstream acceptance. I don't know. Like I said, I think there has to be a separation from, we have to start focusing now on the human spirit, girl. We cannot capitalism ourselves to death. Like, we have to start understanding that people want fulfillment, they want happiness, they want days off, they want to be able to live their lives without being crushed by debt. And when you free people of these financial burdens, that can also stimulate the economy for those who are so obsessed with trying to make sure that people can still make money, you know? So what do you all think of it? How much student loan debt do y'all have? What would a student loan debt cancellation mean to you all? Let me know in the comments, and we can have a cute little discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Have a good goddamn evening.